The war room on Tyricus was a storm of noise and panic. Inside, commanders from 20 different empires yelled over each other. Maps flickered red across the large central screen. Planet after planet gone. Whole systems erased in silence. The enemy? Still unknown. No name. No face. No pattern. They struck fast. They didn't speak. They didn't leave survivors. Only cold silence followed wherever they went. A nervous aide ran into the room, her scales flickering with fear. Another outpost lost. Sector Gamma is dark. The Bravari general slammed his fist on the table. How are they moving this fast? Who are they? The Atrakian High Marshal bared his teeth. This isn't war. It's execution. Suddenly, a small alert blinked on the lower left of the command table. No one noticed it first until the room grew quiet. Transmission request. Origin. Earth. Unranked species. A few snorts of laughter spread through the room. Earth? The primitive system at the edge of the spiral? The apes want to help. US now? One commander sneered. They still throw rocks at their problems. Another joked. But someone accepted the signal. The screen crackled. A deep, calm voice came through rough, human, and unmistakably serious. Stand down. You called for a war. Now we're answering. Static followed. No details. No threat. Just those words. And then the line went dead. Hours later, the Galactic Council met in secret. Earth's message was quickly dismissed. They're bluffing. The Lauren senator said. Humans haven't even updated their space fleet in decades. They withdrew from all diplomacy a century ago, another added. Vanished like ghosts. Let them bark from their rock. The Council refused Earth's help. No reply was sent. Meanwhile, on the edges of the dying sectors, a scout fleet was dispatched. 4 cruisers, 2 destroyers. Their mission, intercept. The so-called human vessels entering the Drexel. Expanse an already dead region filled with debris. The alien commanders expected a short fight, maybe some trash collection. But as they entered the system, something strange happened. Their long range scanners stopped working. Then their subspace comms went silent. Then their lights dimmed. Command on Tyricus waited for reports. An hour passed. Then 2. Nothing came back. Not a single ping. Not even a distress beacon. The fleet was gone. Wiped out without a sound. Back on Tyricus, fear began to grow. Where are the scouts? Someone asked. Send a probe. Another said quickly. A stealth drone was dispatched to the last known location. It returned. Sort of. Its video feed played for exactly 3 seconds before it shut down. 3 seconds. Enough to show 6 human ships gray, angular, unmarked. Cold as death. No life signs. No visible weapons. But in those 3 seconds, one thing was clear. Every alien ship from the scout fleet had been turned into wreckage. Melted. Crushed. Frozen. And just before the footage ended, one human ship slowly turned to face the drone. No signal. No warning. The screen went black. Panic spread. What is this tech? They weren't supposed to have anything beyond fusion drives. This is impossible. But it wasn't. It was real. And it was just beginning. Deep beneath Europa's moon, where Earth's last known outpost had gone silent decades ago, a machine stirred. Buried in ancient ice, a red light blinked. A signal was spreading through. The void. Not to the Council. Not to the living, but to something older. Something waiting. Humanity had disappeared from the galaxy, not because it was weak, but because it was preparing for something the others couldn't understand. Now, they were back, and this time they weren't asking for peace, they were answering. A call. Final scene. On a distant council planet, a child looks up at the night sky. A soft red star appears, one that wasn't there before. She points. Look, Father, A new light. He doesn't answer, because he knows that isn't a star dot, it's a warning. Humanity has entered the war, and now no one is laughing. The Galactic Council had always seen humans as background noise. Useful for menial trade, curious for their ancient wars, loud, emotional, chaotic, but never dangerous. So when Earth sent a warning, no one took it seriously. The voice that came through the transmission, calm, cold, and deep, was ignored. Stand down, the human voice said. You called for a war. Now we're answering. But the council laughed. High Commander Sharn of the Selenic Republic chuckled as he sipped his vine water. Answering? What will they do, throw rocks? Beat drums? Let them, growled General Vakshar of the Korthax. We could use a laugh. They were wrong. Sector 94G, edge of the void. The scout fleet sent to intercept the incoming human force consisted of 10 war cruisers. Each one was equipped with stealth sensors, dark energy weapons, and combat-trained AI pilots. They entered a dead star system. No life, no planets, just broken asteroids and the flicker of magnetic storms. Sensors picked up something faint. Cluster of slow-moving signatures, cold and silent. Must be a junk fleet, said one Korthax commander. Nothing active. Probably just decoys. But protocol demanded confirmation. 3 cruisers broke formation and moved in. Their lights vanished seconds. Later. No explosion. No signal. No noise. Just gone. The remaining ships froze. Command, we've lost Echo 4, -5 and -7, reported a pilot. They were right in front of us. No damage, no trace. A pause, and static filled the bridge. It wasn't random. It was a voice, repeating one word. Withdraw. Back on Tyricus, the council meeting turned tense. What do you mean? The fleet vanished? Snapped Empress Jaura of the Haidari. They were intercepted, said the scout commander, clearly shaken. Something was waiting in that system. Something? A Zarnian admiral barked. Identify it. We can't. Our data stopped recording the moment we entered range. The room went silent. Then came a second alert. Another transmission. Origin. Earth. Again. No one laughed this time. You sent scouts, the human voice said. You wanted to test us. You thought this was a game. There was a pause. Then the tone changed. You erased our colonies. You watched as our outposts were destroyed. You gave us no trial, no justice. We are not coming for war. We are coming for balance. And then darkness. The transmission cut. But in the background, some species with advanced hearing reported a faint hum. A deep, distant drumbeat. Mechanical, slow, endless. Like something ancient moving in the dark. Planet, Delcura 9. 2 days later, the council had no time to respond. Delcura 9 was a fortress world, a key supply hub. It had defense satellites, planetary shields, and over 1 million troops stationed in orbit. Then, at 3:29 local time, the stars above Delcura blinked out, just for 2 seconds. When they came back, the orbital defense platforms were gone. The planet's shields short-circuited. Half the atmosphere turned black. Before anyone could even call for help, a silent shape entered orbit. Long, dark, angular. No lights. Not a ship. A shadow with teeth. It didn't fire. It absorbed. Every weapon aimed at it simply vanished. No explosion. No recoil. Just silence. Council ships scrambled, but they never made it to Delcura. Something had disrupted their jump coordinates. They arrived light years away, lost. Confused. One captain sent a simple message back. We're being moved like pawns. They control the board now. Back at Tyricus, council war room panic. No one was shouting anymore. No laughter. No jokes, just fear. The Zarnian astronomer, who had once warned of decay, stood and spoke again. I told you. Something is waking. You all laughed. But now your stars are dying. The humans, they are not the same as before. Suddenly, a low alarm rang in the chamber. Another Earth transmission. But this one came with visuals. A face. A human. Gray beard, black uniform. Deep eyes that had seen centuries. My name is Admiral Ryan Voss, he said calmly. 20 years ago, you burned our peace colony on Rho Kelvin. You said it was a threat to balance. You sent no warnings. No envoys, just fire. He leaned forward. Now we return that fire. But we are more precise than you. We don't burn cities. We erase empires. The screen cut to static dot, and once again, silence followed. But this time, no one moved, because outside Tyricus' orbit, something was coming, something Earth had hidden for years, and it was already too late to stop it. The skies over the Draxian belt burned red. Tyricus 6 was gone. Not invaded, erased. Admiral Revan of the Zorith Collective stared at the screen. He'd just received a single image from the scout fleet that went after the humans. One image before everything went black dot. It showed the edge of a black ship. No lights, no ID markings, just a shadow, and behind it, the wreckage of 5 Draxian cruisers, torn apart like paper. That can't be right, whispered General Salu of the Thark Alliance. Humans can't do that. But deep down, they all felt it. This was no ordinary battle. This wasn't war. It was Judgment Dot in the Galactic Council's secure chamber. The Council tried to spin the news. Technical error, radiation storm, an ambush from an unknown force. But the whispers were growing. The name humanity was now spoken in hushed tones. Not because of respect, but because of fear. Ambassador Velek of the Vexari Empire stood up. If Earth has developed this kind of weapon, we need to act. Now, the room fell silent. Because no one knew what weapon he was talking about. Meanwhile, in the sector known as the Dead Light Drift, a single human ship floated calmly. No movement. No weapons drawn. Inside, Commander Elias Marr sat in silence. His crew didn't speak. Not because they were afraid, because they were trained for. This. He tapped a screen. Target region, Nixari Command World. Begin pulse. A wave of invisible signal swept through space cold, fast, silent. Within minutes, all communication from the Nixari homeworld stopped. Not jammed, not hacked, just shut off. Like someone had flipped a switch inside the enemy's brain. Hours. Later, panic in the Council grows. New reports stream in. Nixari homeworld dark. No word from the fleet near Earth. Outer colonies reporting black ships in orbit, then silence. One admiral screamed, "This is retaliation. Earth warned us. We didn't listen." But Counselor Zarin of the Alari spat. They were nothing but a Tier 2 species. Who gave them this kind of power? Ambassador Rowe, one of the few who had visited Earth, spoke coldly. They didn't. Find power, we forced them to unleash it. Flashback. 5 years ago, Earth's last appeal to the Council. The human delegate, a calm woman named Dr. Marela Sayan, stood in the Great Hall. She asked for protection, for unity, for access to weapons to defend their space against the Syndicate. The Council laughed. Protect Earth? You're not even part of the core alliance. Sayan only nodded, understood. But her last words lingered. If the galaxy won't stand with us, then don't blame us when we stand alone. Present Gay Outer Rim System Varak 4, a massive fleet of the Durix. Imperium prepared to intercept another wave of human ships. They lined up in perfect formation. Energy cannons locked. Fighters deployed. Then the stars dimmed, not because of a weapon, But because something was blocking the light, it wasn't a ship, it was hundreds of ships. Humanity didn't send one fleet. They sent everything, from stealth cruisers to sleeper dreadnoughts, from drones built in asteroid mines to repurposed colony haulers turned war carriers. The Ghost Fleet had arrived, and with it, the last message the Durex ever received. Mercy was given. It was ignored. This is the answer. Final scene. On Tyricus Prime, the last members of the Council gather in a hidden bunker. They listen to the silence, the terrifying silence. Not one enemy has spoken. Not one demand made, because this war wasn't for negotiation, It was to end the Council. And now, the shadows outside are growing darker. The Council chamber was quiet. Too quiet. For the first time in centuries, the Great Hall wasn't filled with arrogant voices. No laughter. No speeches. Just silence and fear. A week had passed since the scout fleet vanished. No debris. No signals. No survivors. High, Commander Virik of the Dravari Alliance slammed his metal fist onto the table. This is impossible. No species, especially an unranked one like Earth, has the power to erase an entire fleet in open space. Ambassador Navarra, one of the few who had once voted to speak to Earth, whispered, "Maybe we should have listened." When they offered help, another voice, softer, almost shaking, said, "We called them apes." Virik's eyes glowed. They were just merchants, explorers, not warriors. That was true. Once, but in a dark system where stars had long died, something new was happening. Scene cut. In the cold graveyard of the Jurnek system, where the Council's fleet had disappeared, a single ship floated in the shadows. It wasn't alien. It was unmistakably human, sleek, black, unmarked. Its hull shimmered like liquid metal, absorbing all light. No energy signals. No emissions. Invisible to any known sensor. Inside, Commander Rhea Vale stood before a holographic display of the destroyed Council fleet. Calm, focused, the screen showed flashes, moments of violence captured in hidden frames. Council ships ripped apart from the inside. AI systems shut down. Shields rendered useless. Status? She asked. A young officer replied, "No survivors. No beacons." Our message was clear. "Good," Rhea said. "Phase 1 complete." Then she turned and spoke to the crew. They mocked us, ignored us. They built their empires while Earth rebuilt from ashes. They forgot that patience was humanity's deadliest weapon. Back to the Council. Another emergency signal echoed through the chamber. This time, it wasn't from Earth. It came from within their own core territory. A high-ranking admiral screamed through the feed. Unknown forces breached our defense grid. They bypassed our firewall. They shut down our planetary shields. Screams. Static. Silence. The feed went dark. And then a new signal replaced it. No logo. No identification. Just a single human voice. Rhea Vale again. She spoke slowly. "This is not revenge. This is clarity. You built your peace on silence. Now feel the weight of what you ignored." One of the youngest council members trembled. "What do they want?" Ambassador Navarra didn't blink. "I don't think they want anything anymore. I think they're done asking." Scene cut on Earth. Deep beneath the ice caps of Antarctica, a massive chamber hung to life. Thousands of human sleeper ships, each one carrying soldiers, tacticians, AI war corps, began to awaken. Above them, an ancient banner hung, simple words written in bold. White letters. "Humanity will answer." The battle reports came in late, or maybe the fear came earlier. Either way, the Tyricus war room had changed. Where once angry voices shouted across the table, now only whispers remained. Red alerts had stopped flashing, but not because the Enemy was gone. They had simply disappeared. Vanished. No signal. No trace. Just silence. But it wasn't a peaceful silence. It was the kind of silence that came before a storm. Across the room, Grand Strategist Corrin of the Vakthul Alliance stared at the dark screen showing the last known human fleet location. The alien. Commanders didn't say it aloud, but they all felt it. Something had changed. The humans. General Tsur finally whispered. They did something. We don't understand. Corrin nodded slowly. We mocked them. Laughed when they spoke. Denied their help. And now? Asked a young tactician. No one answered. Far away, in the shadows of a forgotten system, the human fleet moved in silence. Their ships weren't beautiful. They were cold, blocky, dark as space itself. Built not to impress, but to erase. Commander. Isla Grant stood on the bridge of the Midnight Spear. Her voice was calm as she gave the order. Begin the deep scan pattern. Sweep everything. Look for survivors. Or signals. The crew moved without hesitation. No shouting. No cheers. They had seen the horror. The cold ones, those fast. Silent monsters were gone. But humans weren't celebrating, because they knew something no one else did. The truth wasn't in the destroyed ships. Or the empty wreckage. The truth was in the data the humans recovered. We found the patterns, whispered Dr. Malik, human xenoscientist. He tapped on a black console, showing strange alien symbols repeating like a heartbeat. They weren't just attacking planets. They were absorbing them, feeding on signals, heat, thought. Commander Grant's eyes narrowed. Like a hive? No. Malik replied, like something older, much older. Back in the war room on Tyricus, a new signal came through. A small, simple transmission. No code, no encryption. Just 5 words. Do not follow us, Earth. The alien commanders stared at it, unsure if it was a threat or a warning. General Tsur slammed his fist on the table. Who do these humans think they are? Telling us what to do? But Strategist Corrin's eyes were wide. He understood. He had seen human history. When humanity said do not, it didn't come from fear. It came from experience. Meanwhile, in the ruins of the Cyros Belt, the last cold one, a creature as large as a cruiser floated aimlessly. It was dying. Something had poisoned it. Not a weapon, not fire, but a signal. A human signal. Buried deep in the frequency was a memory. A scream, a cry, a face. The cold one convulsed once and disintegrated into dust. On Earth, in a hidden base beneath Antarctica, an old AI reactivated. Project Black Sun. Its purpose, not war, but warning. It displayed a list of old files, each one marked Red Class. Humanity hadn't just joined the war. They had seen this kind of enemy before, and this time, they weren't just going to survive. They were going to finish it. Back in the council chambers, a new ambassador stood before the frightened alien leaders. He was tall, silent, wearing a black coat with no rank, no medals, just a patch on his shoulder. Earth Fleet, Silent Division. He looked around and said just one thing. You've mistaken silence for weakness. He turned and walked out, leaving the entire council stunned. Not a single word more, but everyone heard the message clearly. The battlefield was quiet, now. Too quiet. For hours, no word came from the Syndicate's outer fleets. No updates. No reports. No signals. Council Commander Voraig sat frozen in his high seat, claws tapping the edge of his console. He had sent 3 full war fleets to the Varnake Belt, where the humans had last been seen. All had vanished. Not defeated. Vanished. No escape. Pods. No wreckage. Just gone. One of his advisors finally spoke, voice trembling. Commander, we may be facing a Class Z threat. That word made the whole room go cold. Class Z. was reserved for only one thing: extinction-level enemies, and no one had ever classified Earth as even Class C. The humans had been called apes, trash-worlders, low-tech scavengers. No whole-world influence. No major trade hubs. No historical military presence. But now, they were something else. Something worse. Meanwhile, far across the Yang, stars, the human command ship Resolve hovered over the black surface of an old mining moon. Its surface was cracked, its life drained centuries ago. But deep below, the humans had awakened something ancient. An AI, a sentient war intelligence designed in the final days of the Terran collapse. Codename Aegis Prime. General Hall stood in the dim light of the operations chamber, watching as green lines of code raced across the surface of the AI's metallic core. He turned to the officers behind him. "You know what this means," he said. "Yes, sir," replied Captain Wren. "We're bringing the old weapons online." "No," Hall said, shaking his head. "We're bringing Earth's wrath online." Back in Council space, ships began falling back from forward posts. A long-range outpost on Gravic 9 sent its final message. Enemy unknown. Ships dark, no heat, no radio, moving like shadows through vacuum. One passed within 800 meters. Didn't register on scanners. Then lights cut. Crew vanished. Autologs transmitting now. Then silence. The Council screamed at each other in panic. Who were these humans? How had they hidden such power? Why now? Had Earth always planned this? At the same time, hidden human listening stations lit up. The Syndicate was preparing a final push. They were sending their homeworld defense fleet, over 5,000 ships, to burn Earth's allies and force a surrender. If humans wanted war, they'd get it. But what the Syndicate didn't know was that Earth already knew, and they weren't sending fleets to intercept. They were sending something worse. In the deep cold of Sectors 8 and 91, a single object floated toward the Syndicate fleet. It was small, barely the size of a gunship. Enemy commander laughed as they zoomed in. A human drone? That's what they're sending? But then the drone began to unfold. Panels opened. Energy surged. Inside was no crew. Only silence. Then one word flashed across every Syndicate ship. Observation complete. Seconds later, the drone detonated. It didn't explode like a bomb. It erased everything around its base. Matter. Light. Gone. Over 100 Syndicate warships blinked out of existence. No fire. No screams. Just deletion. The fleet commander never even had time to react. Across the galaxy, humans sent one final message to the Council. You denied us. You mocked us. But we were listening. We've waited long enough. Now your stars will dim just like ours did. Mercy was your chance. You threw it away. And then silence. Again. But this time, everyone knew what came next, and no one was ready for it.